Hi everyone, Kelly here, and today I just want to have a chatty video where I talk about what I'm currently reading because I'm having one of those times, every once in a while I just get in this mood where I just can't finish anything. I just keep picking up books because my mood changes or I don't know, whatever, my concentration is not there. So like I'll read like a little bit in one book and then I'm like, now I want to pick up this book. And I just keep picking up more and more books and I'm not finishing anything. So since it's going to be a little while probably before I will do a recent reads, I figured I should just like tell you what I'm reading right now because I don't know when I'll finish any of these things, because when you're reading like a bunch of books at once, it takes you a long time to finish any of them. So yeah, I'm just in that mood. Every once in a while I just get in this mood. I don't know if it's a change of seasons or it's just I'm feeling really distracted right now or whatever, but yeah, can't stay on anything. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through and tell you what I'm reading, what I'm thinking about it so far, what you can look forward to seeing in some review videos coming up soon. So first of all, almost all of this is middle grade, so let me talk about the only adult books I am reading right now. And they are both nonfiction, and they are all as a result of last week I watched Books and Lala put up a video where she read books based on her Enneagram, and I have never learned what my Enneagram was. I don't know why. I had done Myers-Briggs back when I was like working at camp and stuff like that, and so I just never got around to taking the Enneagram. So, you know, after watching her video, I was like, I'm gonna take the test. I'm gonna find out what Enneagram I am. And then I ordered some books in the library just to find out what that means. So I got two different ones. I got the Essential Enneagram. And when I say I'm reading these books, I'm not gonna read the whole book because I'm not gonna read about everybody else's type. I'm basically reading about mine. And so far, all I've read is kind of like the beginning part where I'm learning about the test and taking like the mini test. I took the actual test online, but I'm just kind of like retaking the test in here to verify that I have the right Enneagram. So I started this one. This is one though that it's just very boring. Like it's all just full, cram full of words, which I know that's what a book is, but you'll see the next one is a little more interesting to me in the way it's like stylistically done. So yeah, I'm just gonna be reading through my Enneagram, which so far I found out that I am Enneagram 9, but I don't know what my wing is. Still learning more about Enneagrams in general, but in case you're curious, I'm a 9. And then I also picked up Millenniagram, which was the book that Kayla from Books and Law was reading in that video. And this one, she uses a lot more like modern words and stuff like that. Like she's kind of got like a little attitude with it. And so I took the little test in here, and then I did get this on audiobook, so since she's kind of got that kind of feel, I think I'm going to listen to my Enneagram description on audiobook. So yeah, I'm just at the beginning of this one. But like I said, I'm not gonna finish both these books. I'm just going to read my section because I don't really care about like reading the whole thing. I just kind of want to find out more about my personality. I might read some of the other ones, like maybe my husband's or things like that. And that's, for now, that's all I want to know. And maybe eventually I'll read more about the other Enneagrams. But for now, I kind of just want to find out more about mine since I've never done the test before. Okay, so like I said, the rest of these are all middle grade. So the book that I am reading kind of before bed, because I usually have a book that I pick up that I read kind of slowly before bedtime. And I am this time reading it very slowly because I keep falling asleep after a couple pages. So I am reading Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones, which is a fantasy book. I never read this before. I've never seen the movie, and I have been reading this for 5 days and I'm still on page 30 because I don't know what it is. I've been going to bed too late, so by the time I pick up my nighttime book, I read like 3 pages and then fall asleep or something like that. So I haven't made it very far into this one at all, but so far I'm enjoying the beginning. You know, sometimes fantasy books take a little bit of a build-up, but I am enjoying the introduction to Sophie. Is that the main character's name? Yeah, so I'm enjoying that so far and very interested to see where it goes. Hopefully I can get myself to go to bed a little earlier the next few days so that I can read a big chunk instead of only reading like a few pages. And then I have 2 audiobooks. The audiobook that I had started was The Brave by James Bird, which is the group book for middle grade March. And I started this as I was driving to go meet my best friend so that we could go on a walk outside. And so it was like a 40-minute drive. And I started this on the drive there, and the drive went by so fast. I was there at the place we were gonna walk before I even realized it, because I was so absorbed in this story. And so through those 2 car rides, I made it about 50 pages, and I'm really enjoying this so far. This is about a boy who has a form of OCD, and I don't think it actually says OCD in the book, or at least not so far, but he feels compelled to, like, when people talk to him, to count all the letters and what they're saying. And I really enjoy the way this is written and the personality of Colin, our main character. And in the beginning of this, he goes to live with his mother that he's never met before, and she is Ojibwe, and she lives in Minnesota. And so he goes to live on the reservation, and he doesn't know anything about his Native American family or his mother. So I am really invested so far, and I'm only 50 pages in, but I definitely want to pick this back up. But the reason I started another audiobook is because I realized that this book was due back to the library in 2 days, and it's a short one. The audiobook's only 4 hours, so I know I can finish it in the next 2 days. Like, I picked it up today, and I'm already like this far through. What is that, like a third of the way through it? So I'll definitely finish this before the audiobook is returned, and then I'll go back to reading The Brave. But this one is really interesting so far as well. This is Look Both Ways by Jason Reynolds, and this is almost like short stories. It's about you follow kids that are leaving school and on their way home, and what happens on that like walk home, but from 10 different perspectives. So each like chapter is a new perspective, and it starts like with what that street is. And so it's like, it says on here, a tale told in 10 blocks. And I have read 3 of the stories so far. The first 2 are more quiet stories, more about like friendship and family and things like that. And then the third story upped the ante a little bit with some more bigger things happening, like bullying and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is going to become more serious as the book goes on, because the first one was very lighthearted, and then we got a little more into family issues, and then the third one being really heavily about bullying. We'll see where this goes, but so far I'm enjoying the writing, and I like the audiobook because every story is told from a different narrator, and so far I've really enjoyed that, following the different narrators. And then the books that I am reading physically. So the first book that I picked up in middle grade March was The Fairies Return and Other Princess Tales by Gail Carson Levine. This is a collection of fairy tales, basically reimagined. Most of them are kind of based on other fairy tales. Like, one of the ones I read was like a retelling of The Princess and the Pea. The one that I will be starting soon is like a gender swapped Cinderella story, where Cinderella is actually Cinder Ellis and is a boy. So yeah, they're just kind of reimagined fairy tales. So far I'm not loving this. Yeah, the first one I really didn't like. I've 3 stories in. The first one I didn't like. The second one, the Princess and the Pea one, was all right. And the third one, I don't remember what that one was. It was a Sleeping Beauty retelling, and that one was my favorite one so far. So like I said, I had read 3 stories, and I had started this at the beginning of March and was reading 1 story a day, but then I put it on hold because a friend of mine, Charlie from Reader Turn Writer, she was also going to read it this month, and so I said I would put it on hold and then wait for her to get the book from the library, and that we would read the second half of the book together. And since it's short stories, I have no problem putting this aside. You know, I've read half of it. I'll read the other 3 stories when Charlie is ready later in the month. And then another book that I picked up early in the March was Before the Ever After by Jacqueline Woodson, and I have read half of this book. I'm halfway through. But the problem I had with this one is that I started it on audiobook. It's written in verse, and I kind of like books written in verse to listen to them, but because I gotten the audiobook back in February, but was waiting till March to listen to it for middle grade March, and then I must have gotten it too early because the audiobook returned before I could finish the book. So now I just need to pick it up physically, but because I kind of got interrupted by having to return the audiobook, I just haven't picked this up, and I had picked up something, I'll show you my other physical book that I had picked up before the audiobook expired. So now I'm invested in that one and not ready to come back to this book. I did stop right at like, it has like a part 1 and a part 2, and I stopped right at that part 2. So like, I'm not like worried about stopping in the middle. So I will be picking this back up physically in the next few days to finish it off, because it goes by fast since it's written verse. And this is all about a boy whose dad was a football player in the NFL, but then starts to have all these problems like memory loss and headaches and things like that that are a result of all of the concussions that he had had during his football career. And this takes place back in 1999, before they realized some of the things that happened to football players from all that head trauma. So yeah, this was a really good book. I was really enjoying it, but it just, sometimes when I have to like put down one medium to pick up another, I just get kind of like lose my momentum in reading. So then the last book I want to talk about is the one that I'm really invested in reading physically, which is why I haven't picked the other one up, and that is Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. I am loving this one. I am, what is that, like a third of the way through. And this is a new fantasy series. This is the first book in the series, and it came out in January, I believe. And it is about a girl named Amari whose brother went missing, and then she gets this suitcase that is delivered to her that is inviting her to join this like secret society, basically. And there's a lot of magic and supernatural creatures and all this stuff. And so far I am completely sucked in from the beginning, loving this. Like, this is one of those books that I haven't like been fully invested in a fantasy, middle grade fantasy book and enjoying it so much in a long time. Like, I think that the last one that I really enjoyed like this was Keeper of the Lost Cities, and that one still wasn't like always keeping me invested because I didn't love the main character, where I'm really enjoying Amari as a main character. And so this book is heading towards a 5-star. So then I just want to mention one more book that I'm going to be picking up soon. And even though I'm really invested in Amari, this is a buddy read that I am doing. So I want to pick it up and at least read part of it each day for the next week to stay along with the buddy read. And I'm reading In a Burning by Shannon Hale with Kara from Wild Book Garden. And I'm very comfortable like taking this one slow and just like picking it up in between some of these other ones, because this is a reread for me. This is the second book in the Books of Bayern. The first book was The Goose Girl, and so this is, I can't really tell you exactly what this is about because this is following one of the characters that our main character in Goose Girl meets, and kind of involves some of the things we learn about in the first book. But this was my favorite book of the series the first time I read the series, so I'm excited to be getting back into this. And I think it should read fast because I've read it before, so I will just sneak it in between all these other ones. Like, why not be reading like 10 books at once? I don't know. That's just the mood I am in right now. I just can't stick with anything for longer than a half an hour. I don't know what is wrong with my brain lately. Does anybody have that, where sometimes they just get so distracted that they can't like stay in one story at a time? I've never been one that reads one book at a time, but I usually only read like maybe 3 or 4 books at a time. Like, this is a little excessive. So hopefully I will actually finish some things this week so that I can update you all with my final thoughts. Hopefully that'll be happening soon, that you'll get a recent reads from me sometime in the middle of the month, if I can actually like push myself through and finish these books. How is your reading month going? Are you reading middle grade books or middle grade March like I am? Are you a sporadic reader like I am too? I would love to hear from you down below, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.